I really should play more video games. I've been neglectful of my hobby, and I'm starting to get bored with internet porn. Unfortunately, money is a bit tight at the moment. My bath salt business in Colombia isn't doing too well. Luckily, there's plenty of those so-called free-to-play games provided by Funcom. I'll be playing those then. I've been playing Secret World Legends. For those of you not in the know, it was a game released in 2012. It's a massively multiplayer role-playing game with a contemporary setting. No big-boobed elves in chainmail here. Instead, there's smartphones and shotguns. It's a game with Lovecraftian horror, secret societies and mysteries, where every legend happened and every conspiracy theory is true and Alex Jones is king. I played it back in the day and I enjoyed the story and atmosphere. Now, the game has been re-released as a free game, or rather free-to-play, because now every online game is like that. Let's talk about what it is and what it isn't. What it is the Secret World with an extra word in the title and revamped mechanics based around an annoying cash shop. What it isn't is a new and refreshing game. Let's get stuck into it. You first start the game by picking a secret society you want to be besties with. You can pick the pious British Templars who want to purge demons for Queen and country. You can join the Illuminati, who are quipping Rockefellers with a love of greed and secrets. Or the mysterious chaos theory-loving dragons who talk in riddles and like to be lol so random. Pick any one of them because it doesn't have much of an impact on the game. Just means when you hand in mission reports, you get a different flavor of text that will either be a shit fortune cookie or pure smugness in text form. You get taken to the character screen and you have a load of potato head presets to choose from, which range from a scale of 1 to ratchet. And then you get to pick a class, a departure from the original classless game, but these restrictions also tie into the free-to-play model, which I'll bitch about in a bit. So now we get into the game proper, and the story kicks off, and it's really weird, so bear with me here. Where's my crack pipe? Yep. So, one night, a magic bee flies into your mouth while you're sleeping and gives you special powers. With me so far? For a few days, you thrash about your apartment, hear voices in your head, and blow up every now and then. I guess your neighbors don't give a flying fuck about you. You then have a horrible dream in which you're trapped in a video game tutorial. After you're told the basics and vomited all over the place from the motion sickness inducing reticle combat, you wake up and some representative from a faction recruits you. Depending on which faction you join, you get dumped in one of 3 cities. If you're a Templar, you end up in London, and then you get to see a puppet show that's such utter bollocks you pass out. If you're Illuminati, you end up in Freedom Land, get pumped full of drugs, and go on a little trip. Finally, if you pick the Crazy Dragons, you, and I'm not making this up, you get a magic blowjob that gives you an out-of-body experience. Guess which faction I picked? Templars, of course. Anyway, you get a glimpse into the story, and then you get kitted out for an exciting adventure in New England. You get sent to a fog-riddled little town filled with supernatural horrors, which basically tongues Stephen King's prostate with homage. Soon, you're fighting hordes of zombies and titty monsters, but the cracks in the game quickly appear, and then widen into a chasm of fuckery. You get to experience more of the new and improved combat. According to the talking PR heads, it's supposed to be more dynamic than the original. The old combat system made a lot of players leave, and it wasn't as engrossing. Funcom wanted to fix this, but they had their annual bring your glue-sniffing habit to work day, so they ended up doing the complete opposite. There's a smorgasbord of weapons to use with different abilities. Problem is, it's not about which weapon suits your style, but which weapon gimmick annoys you the least. You could pick pistols and play Dance Dance Revolution and hope the symbols in the chamber match up for extra damage. You can use shotguns and randomly reload shells and pray it does more damage. There's elemental magic, but you have to constantly try not to overheat yourself and cool yourself down or you get screwed over. Or maybe you like assault rifles, but you have to use up the grenade ability or else it explodes and hurts you. What fun! Or I could just hit things with a hammer and build up damage without having to micromanage gimmicks that feel like paper cuts in my urethra. On top of that, you have to manage the energy levels of each of the 2 weapons you use. You run out of power on one weapon, switch to the other, then switch back after recharging, while also pressing buttons on the hotbar to use different abilities, while also trying to dodge attacks and trying to keep your reticle on your enemy. It's very clunky. It's different, but it's not that fun. It doesn't help that combat feels floaty and lacks impact. It's hard to tell if your hit's connected. Enemies flinch a little at best, and so do you, but you're just vaguely hitting at the air until one of you lies dead on the floor. It's hampered further still by stiff animations, swirling kicks look bizarre, and generally movement feels awkward, especially when using magic. Your character runs around with his arms stretched out like a sex offender playing grab-ass. Swiggity swooty, I'm coming for that booty! There's different missions you can do for rewards and experience. You have action missions, which are your standard go here and kill X amount of Y. To mix things up, there's sabotage missions, which are essentially forced stealth missions in a game with no real stealth mechanics. You have to avoid cameras that, instead of alerting enemies to your location, they just blow you up. Who greenlit that security plan? Coupled with the awkward character movement, these missions get frustrating fast. There are investigation missions. These are like old-school adventure games, which have you running all over the place looking for clues and solving puzzles. Interesting concept, but the difficulty is inconsistent. Some of the solutions are really contrived, and you are forced to use the in-game browser for solutions. It soon becomes not a case of how well you can do puzzles, but how well you can quickly Google the solution. You need to do these missions, though, because they're a source of loot and gear. Well, it's a source of a chance of getting gear. Quests don't reward set items, they reward you bags that randomly give you stuff, and you have to hope the odds are in your favor to get a new sword or item. If not, you are left with crap that you can use for crafting, except you don't really craft. You just melt down weapons for experience points, which you put into your weapon. All the crafting is just melting shit down. Very simple, very boring, and full of grind. And once you've completed that mission, you have to wait 3 actual days to pass before you can do it again, unless you pay money. So you have to burn through content constantly to progress. Fine, but you need more sources of loot. Like most online games, you can run dungeons with buddies for loot. This is true of Legends. However, again, you are earning the chance of loot. After curb stomping a boss monster, you are greeted with a loot box that needs keys to get at the shinies. You get a set amount of free ones every day, but you quickly burn through them because you are hoping the odds are in your favor. But the drop rate for actual gear is low, and most of the time you just get experience points for your weapon, and you find yourself with no more keys. You can, of course, buy more keys for money and gamble on the chance of loot. Enemies can sometimes drop loot, but again, they drop a loot box, which needs special keys, which Funcom are only too happy to provide for shekels. Well, I'm sorry, but those are my shekels, and again, there's no guarantee I'll get something worthwhile, and some items can't be unlocked until I reach a certain level. It's at this point the nickel and diming is becoming more apparent. You can get a set amount of special currency every day, but it's a piddly amount, and everything is expensive. You can try and buy extra currency through the cash shop, and use an exchange. You can exchange these gold bars for marks of favor. Thing is, this exchange rate fluctuates, so you may get less currency than you expected, and already you are gambling your money on a pseudo stock exchange. It doesn't stop there. If you want to run just a little bit faster, you have to pay currency. If you want a bigger storage space that isn't crappy, you have to pay up. If you want a bigger inventory, then pay up. But each time you upgrade, it costs a bit more currency. You can, of course, hand over money for very expensive cosmetic items, but unless you're a hardcore narcissist, an extortionate load of pixels won't give you much gameplay. You can buy skill points and abilities with money. Why bother leveling up and doing missions? Get Mummy's credit card and get an edge against those scrubs in the player versus player mode. Or just hand over a load of money and Funcom will make your weapon better so you can crush those silly peasants. Players. If you're tired of your assault rifle killing you more than the enemies, you can unlock different weapons. That's a choice available, and maybe you have more patience than Buddha and have grinded away like a dog on his master's leg, or paid money. Then you can use a weapon to suit your playstyle. It's very expensive and the process is misleading. You assume that this unlock button unlocks that weapon and its abilities. Not so. If you click the wrong tab, you waste all your currency unlocking the weapon's abilities, not the weapon itself. You need to pay twice to unlock all of the weapon's functionality. And of course, the price goes up the more weapons you like. So, you either grind some more to unlock weapons which you think you might like, with no opportunity to try them out for free, or you could just delete your character and start over and do some grinding, or just play another game. Worst yet, you can't trade with other struggling players. You have to pay money to be able to trade items with your friends. Even then, you can only trade with other paying customers. Why? Trading is unrestricted in other free-to-play games. It also helps form bonds and strengthens online communities through charity. This game has all the hallmarks of how not to make a free-to-play game. You don't give players power for money and create a class divide between paying players and players who don't or don't pay as much. You offer convenience, cosmetics, and things to make people feel good. Not grind and frustration. Sad thing is, I was actually in the beta for this game, and I raised concerns about the monetization, as did many other players. We offered feedback and suggested improvements to make this monetization less aggressive and player-friendly. Then, one day, when I came to hand in some bug reports, I got this. I was banned from the forum and the beta, with no reason given. When I emailed Funcom about this, they simply told me my feedback wasn't helpful and hoped to see me in the new game. Sure enough, my feedback and the feedback of many other players fell on deaf ears, and the game has been released with awful paywalls. Absolutely disgusting attitude. Why has all this happened? I suspect it has something to do with Funcom's track record as of late. Funcom suffered when their Lego game went under last year. Also, it didn't help when their now ex-CEO was caught doing insider trading, some of it tied to the secret world. You naughty boy. Top that off with old games that don't make as much money as they used to, Funcom has had to look towards other avenues. One of those is the upcoming Conan Exiles game. It's an early access... oh dear... early access open world crafting game. Like every other fucking game on Steam, and the reviews are mixed. And certainly some people don't want to pay money for an unfinished game. You may have heard of Exiles. They had that manufactured controversy of not only having a breast slider for your character, but a penis slider too. But no labia slider. Maybe I want to run around an open world with a beef Wellington between my legs. You want my money, don't you? With Exiles currently in development, that left Secret World open to being prostituted. The Secret World did make money, but clearly not enough. Funcom has made some superficial changes, but nothing really to warrant a complete relaunch in my opinion. In these free-to-play times, they needed to rebrand it and get money grubbing. I'm sorry, but you can't give us a turd taco and call it fine dining. I really liked the original. It had great atmosphere, a good concept, and I really enjoyed dressing up like a bellend during cutscenes. Legends just feels a bit soulless and corporate. They wanted the game to be more action-orientated like The Division, but the only division here is in the game's community, who feel like they've been strung along for beer money. I guess you could play this game for the story, but you'll probably get bored by it all eventually. It's a real shame that this game has been tarnished. My dear old departed dad had a saying for this kind of situation.
Stop asking questions about your dead sister. She wasn't pushed. She fell.
No, wait. That wasn't it.
If it ain't broke, don't fucking break it.
Yeah. If it ain't broke, don't fucking break it.
Who the hell goes there? Identify yourself. Goddamn.
I'm a nut, my life, don't ever get in a rut. The head on my shoulders is sort of loose, and I ain't got sense God gave a goose. Lord, I ain't crazy, but I'm a nut. I drove my Cadillac to Vegas to satisfy my lust. Wheelin' deal and left old Vegas on a Greyhound bus. I should didn't set the woods on fire while I was there. But remember, only forest fires prevent fires.
It puts the lotion on its skin, or else it gets the hose again.